Detox is one of those subjects that I didn't want to dive into. And the more I looked into things, the more I realized that really it's foundational to all health and wellness and well-being goals. And by doing it intentionally, you can clean up the signal to noise ratio going on in the body, and then everything else becomes more effective. But even then, like, detox is so vast, and there's so many different protocols and products and molecules and ways of getting through it, and nuances. Even like if you detox too fast, you can have a Herx reaction and you can feel sick, and like, is this sickness a sign I'm getting through it, or is it a sign that like my body's telling me I should slow down and or stop?
Yeah. And I'll address that at some point. We can wait if you want, but I don't think you can detox too fast. I think you can only detox too inefficiently. And there's various methods of detox, right? And there's a lot of good stuff. Traditionally, pretty much most detox agents are designed to add stress to the body with the result of removing some sort of toxic element. But during the process of removal, you're mobilizing some sort of toxic element from tissue, from organs, wherever it may be, and it's being mobilized. The systems of the body are then escorting it out of the body. That's going to cause some level of stress, and hence we then get detox reactions or potentially Herx reactions if there's microbes involved. And that's going to be a lot of the homeopathics and a lot of things that are going in and either pulling metals out of tissue, or they're stimulating the body to naturally push them out. Then you have binders, which are kind of the opposite, where they're supposed to be reducing stress on the body. So most of the other things add stress on the body, and then binders reduce stress on the body because they're binding. They're just grabbing things that are currently floating around. And a lot of practitioners will combine those protocols. And like Chris Shade will talk about like the push-catch protocol. And that's pretty common, where you push the metals or toxins out with some sort of stimulating agent, and then you catch them with a binder or a set of binders. And so you're stressing out the body, and then you're mitigating that stress with the binder. So that's one approach. And then I'll get into the catch and release in a bit, but with binders in general, the problem is most of them are supposed to be reducing stress on the body, but sometimes they're actually adding stress on the body still, even though the whole point of them is to reduce stress. And so a lot of people can't tolerate them. And it's because things are so complicated. And because most people, they'll get a test and they'll say, oh, mercury is my problem, or aluminum, or whatever it may be. But we find what we look for in tests. Like, something's always going to pop up positive, but it doesn't mean it's your problem. It might be a major part of your problem. It might be a small part, but it's not the whole problem. There's always a lot of things. If you have one accumulated toxic element, you're probably going to have 100 more or a lot more, right? So it's just that we're not testing for all of them, so we don't know what the actual problem is. So, for example, when we are focusing strictly on heavy metal detox, sometimes we limit ourselves because we're missing all of the other, microplastics, environmental toxicants, metabolic waste products, and all these other things that need to be detoxed or dealt with as well, but we're not dealing with them. So for example, with like a synthetic chelator that goes in and it binds to lead, it just disrupts things, right? It's grabbing the lead. It might also be binding to some essential nutrients, which could be problematic, but then it stirs things up. And let's say it releases some parasites or some bacteria. It releases some glyphosate. It releases whatever it may release. Let's say it's EDTA or some other chelator. It's not going to grab onto those other things. It's only grabbing onto the metal. And then the body has to deal with that detox stress.